Thank you. Namaste. First of all, I would like to thank SAC for this opportunity because not as a speaker, last few days I've been completely with Aurobindo and the mother because we always want to be with that whenever there is such a special occasion and it is assigned to speak. In fact, truly we are just speakers. The words come from above. So to that extent, I've been very fortunate that I was able to get many intuitive words from the divine himself. And one such thing is today's topic is symbolism in Veda. Of course, this has been elaborately discussed a lot. But what was very blissful and unhappy to me was continuation of that. The three aspects in that symbolism. One is as a beauty, and then as a bridge, and as a barrier. So the same symbol can be beautiful, can be a bridge, and it can be a barrier also. So that is to that extent I was able to feel that all the three aspects at the same time. Now, very briefly, what we are talking about Veda is to us in general. Today, what we see Veda as sacred text, and then the religious, and then this ritual practices. And of course, we all respect Veda. But this was not the same when it was actually, it came down or descended as mantras to the rishis. At that time, it was completely as a eternal knowledge. Today, we see that Vedas are very like beyond, and then we are not able to follow that. And then we are too maybe inferior or very small to conceive the ideas today because of many reasons. Maybe even the mind and intellectual overriding the intuitive mind. So that may be one of the reason. But what was interesting during the very Vedic period was this was very natural. The very flow of the mantras coming down, and then the rishi is able to bring out the mantras in the physical form as a sound. This was very natural. Even today, we can see that there are many such ideas coming down. So, in that context, what we are discussing for next about 45 minutes or so is the Veda as an eternal knowledge. The knowledge which can be experienced. It's not just a knowledge to know from the mind activity. It is something we can experience, the knowledge which I'm able to experience. Of what? Of the Supreme Being Himself. This is what we are calling it as a Veda. Of course, it is also sacred text. It's a religious script, and then it is definitely to be respected and then even worshipped, or even chanting of the mantras. All those are important. But the core of the Veda, what the Veda itself is Rucho Akshare Parame Vyoman. Rucha Ruk is the Veda, the mantra. Ruk. Ruk means to illumine. Illumine is nothing but the knowledge, the light. It is Akshara. Akshara is which gets destroyed. Akshara is one that doesn't get destroyed. That means it's infinite. Akshara. And then it is present in the Parame Vyoman. Parame Vyoman is, we call it today as beyond. Where is that beyond? From the point of the sound, we can take it as there are four levels of sound. Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, Vaikhari. What we are speaking or the hearing, the human ears that can perceive, that is 20 to 20,000 hertz, the sound, the frequency, is only the Vaikhari aspect of that, within the domain of the Panchabhutas. So this is Vaikhari, last aspect of that. But the start is from the Para. Para is beyond. We'll see why it is Para. And then from there, it becomes Pashyanti. The sound we can see. Today, it's not something a miracle because ultrasound is something, the sound with the transducer, we can convert it into the on-screen image. The same sound can be seen. It's an ultrasound image. That's a very routine medical diagnostic technique. That is Pashyanti. This is the plane where rishis were able to see. They are the seers, drashtara. They were able to see the. It's not like a text. It is something they can. When I close my eye and see, that is also the word is seeing, but there the see is a experience. That is what we are calling it as a Veda. Why it is very important to have that background is otherwise we try to see that everything, whatever see on the physical level as a symbol. That's a differentiating factor that we would like to bring it today. And then why it is in symbolic form? Symbolic form, there are many reasons. One of them is just to make it as a secret itself, because this is something knowledge which is not to be freely distributed to all. Needs that kind of a dedication, it needs that receptivity, and then the good heart to do the best, to give it back, not to misuse. It's definitely one of the reason, but I would put it as that's one of the last reason. Now, then what are the other reasons? Then we need to see what is symbolism. The symbol today, what we mean is something which is non-physical. We can see it as a physical, something like a image or a photograph or a murti, like an idol. This is a symbol. Definitely, this is a symbol, but it's not exactly the symbol what Veda is trying to tell. So then, what is more than that? So we can see the divinity through the symbol, but this symbol is not exactly what Vedas are trying to tell. That's the first point. So then we go further deep. So what is that? Symbol as something like a swastik or om or even any of those mantras, all these can be symbol. So there through those words we can get connected or we can meditate on that. Or a symbol, something like a nama. Generally the nama or the symbol is something what we put it on the forehead. Like it can be Tripundra or Urdhapundra. So these are we generally see it on the forehead with Vibhuti or even uh, the Kunkuma or Arishina. These are also symbols. But is that what Vedas is talking about? Of course, there is an application, but not completely. So then we are going further deep. So then there is a further aspect of symbolism is the symbol of Agni itself. It's a fire. From here, we'll just try to go slightly deeper. It may sound a bit technical, but it's very important. As a Agni. So there are always a question that whether there was idol worship during Vedic period. These are very common questions because today we are so used to that. We may call whatever way it is, but still we need some symbol or at least a word or even Omkara. Even for a Nirakara Ishvara, we have a Lingarupa. You can see that. That's what we want to see through that. But now coming to when we say Agni, physical level, that is a fire. But whether the fire represents symbol or not. So this is where the Vedic interpretation starts as a symbolism. The fire within the Panchabhuta, the five basic elements, you can see starting from the Akasha Tattva, then the Vayu, then we have the Agni Tattva, the third in the creation, in the path. Then we have the Jala and the Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Nilo, Nabha, the five Panchabhutas. Out of that, the first thing we are able to perceive, Akasha Tattva, we are not able to perceive. Vayu, or the air, we cannot see, but we can experience. The first form is the Agni Tattva. Agni Tattva in the root form, that's in the purest form, is different from what we call it as Panchabhuta now, where all the five elements are involved in that. Whether you take a Bhutattva, earth, or the water, or Agni, all these are again made up of five elements, all the five elements. Then majority of that, what it becomes, that is represented as the key aspect of the Panchabhuta. Now, when I say Agni, there was definitely Agni was seen as a symbol. but it is symbol to the person who is looking at it. It's not symbol as it is. So then symbol of what? That's the most basic question. It is symbol through which I'm able to see the Supreme Being. As long as I'm not able to see or experience the Supreme Being's presence in that form, that is Nama or Rupa, the name or form, then it is not a symbol. Even an image or a photograph of Sri Aurobindo or the mother, when we look at that, it should be able to connect with myself inside and then take me in the path towards a supreme being. Then it is a symbol. So now we are getting still further deeper into it. So when we go further deeper, now what this Agni will do in our routine, in the five elements, Agni is something very important. So Vedas will be looking at it as Adi Bhautika. In the physical plane, it has got some action. Then Adi Daivika, as a divine energy, it has got an action or a meaning. Adhyatmika, that is with myself, it has got its meaning. But even at the Adi Bhautika, there is a divine aspect in that. So apart from these three, it's not just three dimension. Each of these dimension, Adibhautika, at the physical level, we should be able to see the presence of the Supreme Being. Then that becomes simple. As a Adidaiva, the Daivika, Agni as a div, as a light, or even as a energy. There is the Supreme Being present within the Agni as Agni. Then it becomes a symbol of the Supreme Being himself. So the Veda is talking about the omnipresence of the Supreme Being. So the omnipresence comes with that is Sarva Vyapi. And then there is omniscient, Sarvagnya. He knows everything. He knows means it's not like I'm knowing it. He himself is a knowledge. So then wherever you see, we call it as a knowledge or not, that's the presence of it. He is Sarvavyapi, he is Sarvagnya and omnipotent. That is Sarveshwara. He is the Lord of everything. And then Sarva Samartha. He is all potent. So this is not three dimension of it. All the three are present at the same time. So this is what we need to pursue when we are looking at a symbol. So now coming to that aspect, the same thing with Adi Atma, that is Adhyatmika. There again within myself, I should be able to see the reflection of the Supreme Being. So this is Pratibimba. That's a reflection of the Bimba. Now, these are very easy to speak about. But when you are actually meditating, then you can feel it. As long as I don't experience that presence of divinity within me or in a symbol, that still remains the outside or the apara. Apara is something outside. Para is something inside and higher. That doesn't mean that going inside is para and then going outside is apara. Even a Veda mantra, as long as it is not, I am not able to get connected with the divinity in the mantra, still that is apara. Even a simple image, idol, in that if I am able to experience the divinity, supreme being, then that becomes para. That is the definition of para and apara as a symbol in the Vedas. All these are aspects of the Veda mantra itself. So when we try to go in this aspect, so the presence of divinity everywhere is perceived. But in the natural evolution of the human mind where we are today, the human mind is meant for knowing things. When I say to know something, then there is a definite knowledge. The moment I say definite, you define, that becomes finite. So anything infinite, I'm trying to bring it down to the extent where my human mind today can conceive that. All those ideas or experiences in the meditation or outside, whatever I am able to experience, that gets defined. That means it is degraded. Technically, it is degraded and becoming fine. That's a finite. But that's a beautiful experience. Still, that is not giving me the full picture of infinity. So then how do I perceive that infinite, eternal divinity? When I perceive the defined, finite object or a word or the energy, when I experience that, I completely enjoy that. In the background, that this is an aspect of the infinite. I know this, then I am able to perceive that he is more than this. That's where the Purusha Sukta says, Atyatishtat Dashambulam, where whatever the things that I'm able to perceive, he is Dasha Angula, above that. Why is that? Because he is eternal, anything infinite. If I want to conceive that idea, I have to bring it down. So it is not degrading now, it is in fact upgrading it. That becomes an ascent. What was actually a descent, now the symbol, you are trying to bring the consciousness within the symbol as divinity. So there is both the ascent and descent happening at the same time. During the Vedic period, definitely with the Vedic rishis, there was more a descent. It's not the effort that was going on more. There was definitely Shraddha, and then the Supreme Being was trying to manifest into the physical world. Then the next phase came where humans were trying to ascend. And then from the physical level going higher into the, so there is already a descent through the mantras in the form of words or the energy or any of the manifestation. We call it as bhu. Bhu, bhuvaha, suvaha, where bhu is the manifestation, where my five sense organs can perceive the presence of the five elements, the earth element, water, fire, then the wind and the akasha tattva. I'm able to bring it. But to me, that is a symbol. Now, when I say symbol, that is symbol not outside. The symbol is for me to get it connected with that. So this is where we are trying to see as a symbol of the presence of itself, Supreme Being. So this is how we open up. Now, there were ascent and descent. It was happening when we say ascent. That initially, during this Vedic period, it was more with the descent and it came out. Then there was a time where this was not open for all. The rishis who are able to bring it in, down. So, now what is the general public or the layman was trying to do? Then they tried to work on this mantras, which was taken as Veda, chant those mantras, meditate on those mantras. Now this mantra descending from the Parame Vyoman, which is already encapsulated with that divine energy, if I'm able to bring that, even their mantra is a symbol. It's a symbol through the mantra. It's not necessary that we should use only the mantra. But from the Vedic point of view, I use that. So now when I start chanting mantra, if I am myself dedicated to that Supreme Being, and then the mantra or the word articulation, which is already have that energy, if I can get connected with that wavelength, it's like tuning a FM radio. There is the frequency. Now I have, this is my instrument. If I tune to that particular wavelength, I'm able to articulate the same thing what the rishis were able to do. Now I become a symbol. I become an instrument. Then I offer completely myself to that. So this is how Vedas were looking into the symbolism. Now, is it wrong to just like for a relics or something to see that, okay, I see the relics as something symbol of the divine himself? Definitely that's good, but not stop there. Now you cherish the first aspect of symbol is when it comes to it, look at the nature, the beauty of it, the flower or a mountain or the water or the bird or sound, hearing. All these are becomes beautiful expression. The beauty of the symbol comes as the first aspect of the symbol, symbolism as a beauty. Now, why is it very important is the beauty is an aspect of the divine itself. The divinity is nothing but beautiful. It's easy to get connected with that beauty. That's why we always look for something beautiful. Or when something happens very good, the first expression that comes out is wow, beautiful. How do we define the beauty? It cannot be defined. The moment you try to define, then you are degrading and making it finite. What was infinite and then the eternal, you try to bring it down. But still, there is a joy in doing that. That's what we see in the poetry. Here, you cannot directly say how beautiful it is. What you do, you use a simile or a metaphor. When it is at the most physical level, you just enjoy the beauty aspect of it. When you try to, because at the consciousness of the physical, it becomes just the beauty only. Now, when you are trying to lift up the consciousness within and without, then the beauty itself becomes the divinity. The symbol itself is a divine aspect. Now, this beautiful thing, it brings the bridge between myself and the highest self. It's bridging these two. What was just beautiful and then experience I'm able to take in and then have the joy where the heart starts floating and then you see nothing else and you want to just be with that. That happens when you start meditating and you get lost in that. We are here to get lost in that world. So then you feel that lightness inside as the beauty. Then this takes me as a bridge. Like there is a bhakta and there is a bhagavanta. The bridge is the bhakti, the devotion itself. Now, if I have that bhakti or the love or adoring that, this symbol now, which was beautiful and then going on, it is bridging me with the divinity. The bridge for me is the two sides of it. Why do you need a bridge? Because you have to cross from this side to that side. What we call it as apara to para, or the lower to higher, from outside to inside. So I'm using this as a bridge, but by itself, it is not a bridge. It was always there. Now I am getting connected using this symbol as a bridge. I'm getting connected. Now, what was just the beauty, which became divine, now it's a bridge. Now, whether bhakti is different from the divine itself? No. Now, the connection that is formed, the bridge is also divine. It's not two things there. As long as there is a bhakta and bhagavanta, and you see bhakti as a medium, it is still two. Now, time comes when this bhakti merges with both the devotion, the bridge. There is no more bridge. Before the start, there was no bridge. Then you use the bridge. You cross. And again, there is no bridge. The bridge becomes symbol. And then you cross. Then you look back. Oh, the whole thing was the divine itself. It was present here, the present there, and then it took. This is the yajna. The doer of the yajna is also divine himself. The yajna is also the one who receiving the offering is also the supreme being. Now the bridge is also divine. So here the symbol becomes even further deeper and then connecting. Am I able to get connected in the conscious level immediately? That's the next question. The whole sadhana is about that. Next, we get into the level of, can that be a barrier also? Definitely yes. Because the human mind, it may be a beauty or it may be bridge. You may so get lost with the beauty of the flower, then you want to see that continuously and get attached to that beauty itself. Because the divine is so beautiful and it makes you to get attached to that. With the outer beauty itself. So now if I get lost with the attachment of the outer beauty is also divine. But still, if I get attached to that aspect only, then that's a barrier because that is not allowing me to actually see the divine inside that, who is expressing that. Now, how Veda looks at this barrier is very easy. Now, you see, that's one of the biggest barrier. We can see that within our group also, how we are so much immersed with the mother. Every time you want to carry a photo of the mother, or a message of mother, or the word of mother, or the relics, or the place. You take anything, you get attached. The whole point is to get detached. There is a beauty in getting attached, but there is a barrier also in getting attached. But it's definitely better than getting attached with something which is finite, which is changing. Why it is better? Because the finite changes. There is Jagat, Jagati, that is Gati in the movement, and every time it is changing, born and changing, that is Jagat. Now, once that changes, if I'm attached to that form, now the form is changing. Now, your attachment, you feel you lost it. The flower, in the morning, it's so beautiful. If you are so attached to the flower, by evening, naturally it will be less of the energy because there is a composition, the flower, there is a blossoming, and then it gets into decomposition. Very natural thing to happen in the physical world. Now you see in the evening, what happens if you want to see divine only in the smiling flower? Now you get detached and then you feel depressed. This is how we look at life. When I see life as something, always something good should be happening, always something good happen to me, and everywhere that should be a good. Now we get attached to the goodness itself. But it is not so in the world of the divine. It says good and bad is your interpretation. Whatever that is coming into my way is good. Now the good and bad becomes symbol. The positive and negative becomes a symbol. When I say there is a positive energy, what do I actually mean? When I say something which makes me happy, what is negative? Something which is stopping me, or which is not allowing me, or which is trying to bring me down. Now, who decided what is positive and what is negative? It is, I put my center. Center is me or I. Now, in this, anything that is helping me or making me happy, that becomes positive. Anything that is not helping me becomes negative. We may give a spiritual or some idea of that, okay, fine, this is what divine wants, but still, I don't believe that that is good. For me, there is always a division of there is good and there is a bad. But when you go further deep of good as an expression of the divinity, to me, what is bad is also an expression of divinity. Then you don't get attached to good and bad. It will remain good and bad. But I am not getting attached to that. So I'm able to come out of this and I become a witness. Whether it is good or bad, both are destined to happen and go further. So then both this become the symbol of the divinity, the action of that. Now, if you go further, we are very familiar with this positive energy, negative energy. So once we get such idea, we get fixed to that. We get cling. I'll come to an example of saying there are some beautiful symbols, definitely. Next, I'll come to that. As a go, as a cow, how is a symbol? Ashwa as a symbol. Very briefly, before that experience which I got today, that's an experience which is, to me, it is very, very surprising. All these years, I was saying that this is positive energy and this is negative energy. Used n number of times and then had a different levels of experiences as positive energy. And of course, you can easily feel the negative energy also. There is a positive energy when you walk in here, or there are places which you definitely feel, you can experience the energy. It's nothing miracle in that. The moment, how do you make out? You feel good. You feel happy without anything in return. Now you step into this hall, you feel good. Then you say, oh, there is a good positive energy. It attracts me. And then the moment you go, step into the road, main road, just outside the campus, you see that there is a lot of chaotic and then the vehicle coming in and then immediately you see there is so much negativity here. I'm getting distracted. Is that so? Is it you do you need such an ambience to be in the positive mode? To start with, yes. But now you are getting attached to this positive. And then when you go out, you feel that people are not organized. They don't respect others. It's not about the people. It's what you want inside is deciding whether it's chaos or not. That's how the world is. Now that's a symbol. No, that was not my experience. The experience which I got is this is what the positive and negative. Now, the positive and negative today, the experience was anything that takes me towards the divinity is my positive energy, attraction. Anything that takes me away from the divine is my negative energy. It sounds very simple. There is nothing great in the sentence. But when you actually experience all those negative experiences or negative energies I experienced in my lifetime, all those moments I was getting away from the divinity. This is the experience of myself. Then I was able to understand all the negative thoughts, all that negativity, all that I had something hatred about others or complaining about others, saying this is not good. Every time I said something negative, I was going away from the divine. So, this experience of getting into the self, that is the self realization. And every time I was able to appreciate something, this place is good, this person is good, this topic is good, this food is good, all those which I thought is positive and attracting me was actually taking me to the divinity inside. See how beautiful the same words can be. This is the positivity and the negativity as a symbol. Otherwise, both are relative. Relative to what? What is in center of both positive and negative? There is zero. The shunya. So this is the with the center as a zero, I'm calling positive and negative. I'm not worried about zero at all. So when do I get that zero? When you actually stop that mind activity itself. This is what we do it in the meditation. Now, from the Vedic point of view, to understand what did they call it as a symbol. So definitely there are lots and lots of symbols. Very common is one is that go or the cow. And what is the to me? I'm not saying that this is Sri Aurobindo's the contribution or something. This is something what he did great. What I am enjoying as Sri Aurobindo's contribution is you take any symbol that can be there can be lot of interpretation and then you can bring it at many levels of Vedic verses itself. The human mind gets confused. Which one should I take? For example, if you take it as a cow or the go. The go in Veda, today it definitely translates to cow, the animal, which is most useful. Then we can always give a logical things also. As a go is like Godana or whatever it is. So physically, yes. So now there are other meanings, dictionary meaning itself for the go. So go is a cow because go means something useful, completely useful. So if you see among the animals, which is most useful to us, including its excreta, the urine or its cow dung, that's the only animal on the earth which is useful, which you don't throw away. All animals, we don't even look at it as something natural. We want to throw it away. In fact, we get disgusted. Our own excreta. In the toilet, it's okay. Otherwise, we can't even bear it. Whereas for the cow, we even drink, eat, then even put on the take bath with that, then worship. So then from that point of view, the cow is useful. Now there are different meanings of the go. Go, when it is in the most in the five elements, what is most useful to me? The soil. So one of the meaning of go is the soil itself. Because that's most useful. I grow my food. So the prithvi, the soil, the meaning of go is there is a meaning. English, that's a the Sanskrita meaning of go is where it's very useful to me. Now, it's not just the soil. Then water is very useful. So then go also means water. So that's why we call it as a Ganga. There is a Ga and Ga. There are two Gas. Symbolically, both of them. Now the go also means something more than just useful, something which gives me knowledge or the light. From that aspect, the go becomes a ray because that's an aspect of the light. If you take the same analogy, the go, there is a meaning as a hair. Because that is also a ray, if you see in the physical level. In the Shodasha Samskara, there is a ritual called Godana. Now, today, the moment we hear Godana, what do we interpret? It is like giving dana to a cow or even money. Taking that, it's a Godana or if even feeding go. But during the Vedic period, Godana actually means there is one of the meaning is hair after the Gurukula. So the students entered the Gurukula at the age of 7, 8, and then they studied for 13, 14 years. Now they are nearly 18 or 20 years old. Till then, they were not able to cut the hair or do the shaving, nothing. Now, before going out of the Gurukula, now they can choose to go to Grihastha Ashrama. There is a ritual of, this is a ritual of Godana means go as a hair, they'll go for hair trimming, shaving, and then saloon. It's actually Godana literally means in the Shodasha Samskara, like shaving and then trimming your hair. Then making yourself beautiful so that the bride is attracted to you and then there is a marriage. Nobody likes somebody with that, all the weird kind of a beard and then tangled hair. See, now the go, why it is important to see go is, now if you see, now go, that's one aspect of it. I'll come back to this if it is necessary. Now go as a knowledge itself. Why go is also knowledge? Because that is most useful to me. At the mental aspect of it, most useful to me, go is knowledge. Knowledge anytime will actually guide me to do whatever I want to do. So in that point of view, go is also knowledge. What Sri Aurobindo did for us, I cannot conceive all these meanings at the same time. And of course, there are more than that, what I said. He takes all the mantras where there is go. He says, can I fit any of these where you read any mantra in any Veda mantras or anywhere, not just in the Veda mantra, can be Upanishad or it can be Purana, Itihasa, anywhere. There is something striking which I can give a meaning applicable across the entire knowledge system. Then there's a darshana. It is not he's trying to even interpretation. He sees that as a light and a ray of knowledge. Now, in this, we call it a psychological meaning, because to the human mind, which is not yet ready to see all the dimension of the symbolism, he gives one symbol. So now what you are calling it as go in the Veda mantra, if you go to the psychological meaning, you can take it as a ray of knowledge and interpret all the mantra in this point of view. And it's applicable across all the mantras. So what does it mean to me then? Then I can just meditate on that mantra, taking it as go is not just an animal. It is a ray of knowledge entering me and then enlightening me. So now, once I get used to that, what is happening of late is putting it as a barrier. Anybody who reads Go from the Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, you ask them what is Go, immediately he says ray of knowledge. Why? That becomes a barrier because now you are fixing one meaning to one word, which is so vast and one of the meaning applicable to all the mantras. Now you are putting into your mind and training the mind say that Go means knowledge. Now you get used to it. Now that becomes mechanical. Whenever you read that mantra, oh, Go is knowledge. Go is knowledge. So what knowledge means? Gone. Because there is no knowledge about the knowledge itself. Now you are replacing the word knowledge with Go. Nothing else. There is no experience. The whole idea of that is when you see Go as a cow, you take that cow as something useful or something that as something higher, and then it represents in the most physical level as that Go itself, what was in the mantra. Now, either somebody sees Go as only cow, that is which I call it as inferior. Now I am going to the other side of the inferior as Go as a knowledge. Now I am fixing another meaning, making it finite. See how the symbol itself can become a barrier. Similarly, another word is Ashwa. Ashwa today is like a horse. Then Ashwa, from Sri Aurobindo's interpretation, what we see psychologically is the life energy itself. It's very common. It's very naturally coming out. Now, wherever that Ashwa comes, it is a life energy itself because that's a horsepower. It's a power, the sheer power itself, the prana shakti. Why Ashwa was called as a horse was called as a Ashwa? Because we say, oh, it's like it represents the power. Then why Ashwa is also the power? Because horse is powerful. Now mind is not able to go beyond each of that. But the root is not the same. You need to understand what is Shwa. Then you bring all those words with the Shwa. I know something Shwa as Ashwa. Then Shwana, that's a dog. Then Shwasa, then there is a breath. And there is Ashwata, it's a tree. Ashwata Vriksha. It's been very sacred tree. Now, what is that Shwa in that itself? That itself becomes a symbol. Shwa, Sh and Va itself becomes a word. If you want to utter the word Shwa, then it needs to bring out that energy. That's a Shwasa. It's bringing out something. So Ashwa, why it is horse? One is because Ashu is something swift. It is the swiftness. So remember during the Vedic period, just like the cow, which is the other animal widely used was the horse for transportation. There are three means of transport. One is you walk, that's a general one. And then if you want to transport, it was the cow or the bull with the bullock cart, which is very slow. If you want to go fast, then it was horse. Now these were around them. So they were able to identify, but is the horse the fastest animal? No, there are many. Deer is fast, the cheetah. You see, there are so many animals faster. But why Ashwa is, the horse is Ashwa? Because the swiftness, which is useful to me. I cannot ride on a tiger or a cheetah. It's not useful to me. That is fast and useful to me. So then I call that animal as Ashwa because of its swiftness. Whereas when it comes to Ashwa as a life energy, it is, and also the one of the aspect of the horse is, it's always in movement, whether even at the sleep. I don't know how many actually have seen horse sleeping. Some or the other things, if you keep on moving, the tail, the ear, or something, some twitchings, there is always some movement. That movement represents the prana shakti itself. Prana is is the energy. The pra is progressive. There is moving. You see that swiftness is one aspect. It's the restlessness. It is throwing out energy every time, and then it becomes Ashwa. Now you see from the life energy point of view, what is Ashwa? There is Shwa itself. The Prana Shakti is Shwa. When you want to even utter the word Shwa, you are bringing out complete energy from inside. This Shwa becomes my Prana Shakti. Now you break that Shwa, it becomes Sha and Va. Now this Sha and Va, Sha is very common. Sha is Sham. Shiva, Shankara, always goes with peace, the bliss. Va, the word very Va is like Ma. It also means to know, the knowledge. Va always goes with the knowledge. So anything that is Jnana and Ananda is Shwa. Now I am Ashwa if I don't have that Jnanananda, or if I'm not aware of that, becomes Ashwa. There is no Jnanananda. It's not whether it is not there. I am not aware of that. I am not conscious of its presence. Otherwise, it is always there. This is Ashwa. Now, how do I perceive that? Through my breath. Every time I take a breath, when you do pranayama, you feel that ananda entering you, and you know that you are happy. Then there is a Shwa inside. That is pranashakti. Are we aware that we are breathing? No. We are completely unaware that even we are breathing. Then how do you differentiate a person is alive or dead? You see with the movement or with the breath. If there is no movement, then if you see very common, a old person on couch or on bed, you see go early morning, go and see the grandfather or grandmother. If there is no movement, immediately first thing you do is go and see whether there is a movement of the stomach. Oh, okay, no problem. What are you actually seeing? There's a prana shakti inside which is able to move that person, whether it's aware or not. This is the prana shakti. I should get aware of it, whether I know it or not. This is the ashwa I need to get. This is the ashwamedha yaga. Then I will do it. When I become aware of this ashwa shakti inside, then every breath, the shwasa becomes my life energy. Where the life is nothing but the jiva itself. So the jiva within me is trying to move using this life energy. From the Satchidananda, the three aspects of the Supreme Being, it becomes Sat is the existence itself, like a substance, and then the Chit, the consciousness force, that is, it knows its presence. There is existence, like I'm existing. Now I become conscious and then I can move also. I become aware of this, becomes a Chit Shakti, and then I'm happy that I know what it is. The existence, the consciousness, and the Ananda. When all the three come together, that becomes Satchidananda Rupa within me. I become aware of this Satchidananda. So who is that I trying to become that one with that? So if I go into the depth, everything that is taken as a symbol, then it becomes an aspect of the divine, which is the beauty, which is a bridge, which can also be a barrier, or if you break the barrier, it will take me further higher. The barrier is required because I need to step up, then go higher. Once you cross that, even that symbolism, then the whole idea of Veda is to realize myself and then the self as Jnanananda Swarupa. Then I will know that I am the Jnana, the inside, then I am the Ananda. Why? Because I am the reflection of the Supreme Being who is Purna Jnanananda Swarupa. Because he is Jnananda Swarupa, and its reflection is the I inside me, which I call it as Jiva, and then that is trying to express itself through all my physical body, vital body, mental body, everything. So every layer of it is Jnananda Swarupa. How do I know that? Is symbolically. So everything now becomes a symbol and everything is divine itself. This is how Vedas were trying to look it as a symbol. Now, if I confine something, as Sri Aurobindo says, what I have written is not even 10% of what I wanted to say. That means don't stick on to the 10%. That's just a symbol for you. I'm giving a trailer or a teaser. I'm just teasing you. I'm trialing you. You go deep. Take this as an instrument, as a symbol. Take this light, then ignite inside. So then the Agni within me gets ignited. The Agni, which I call it just a fire, that becomes, as Sri Aurobindo says, it is a willpower, which I'm very happy with that. Agni is willpower. After 10 years of reading, then I say, what is willpower? Oh, okay. I never thought about it. Agni is willpower. I'm very happy. Now, whatever you want to do, that becomes your willpower and you are able to do. Okay, now what is your experience of willpower? You never worked on it because you are happy that Agni as a willpower is so beautiful. You get caught with that. Agni as a willpower. Oh, willpower, very nice. So anything that goes on. The Veda mantra says Agni is willpower. Within Agni there is Prana Shakti. And then how Agni is ignited because there is prana inside. And it is Agni means Agani. Ga is the movement. Aga is there is no movement. Now there is something stopping. Aga. Now somebody should actually move. Na nayati or guide. That is Agani. Now there is an energy which will move, which was not moving. That energy I will call it as Agni. The one which was not moving, which was making me like tamasic or not moving at all. Now there is some energy which tries to move. That may be Rajoguna to start with. That willpower, I'm calling it as Agni Tattva, Agni. Now, within Agni, who is actually moving? It needs air, Prana Shakti. Now there is Prana inside the Agni, which is actually moving Agni. To start with, there was no Agni. You have to burn, you have to take the physical, the wood, and then the water in the wood will burn, and then it will give out the light as a fire. So Agni is the solid, the Bhutattva, the Prithvi, and you have the Jalatattva, which is actually it is using it. Then only when it burns, then it becomes dry, becomes ash. And then what comes out of it, Agni itself, that is a fire. But above that, this is the matter. Above that is a life energy, which we call it as a Vayu. So the Vayu is the one which is actually burning, the Prana Shakti. Now the Agni is burning not because of the wood, the water, or the fire itself. It is burning because of the Prana Shakti. Within that, without air, we know without oxygen, we have done the experiment. You lamp a candle and then close it, put a glass or something. After a few seconds, it will be off because there is no oxygen. The science tells, oh, you need oxygen. Is it just the oxygen? Now, what is in the oxygen makes me living? The prana shakti in the oxygen. It's not O2. There is a prana shakti in O2 which is actually making me to move. But who is moving in prana shakti? The prana itself. That's the supreme being in the prana shakti is moving prana. This prana is moving the Agni Tattva. That Agni Tattva within me makes me move. You see, there are so many levels of Agni. So in that aspect, Agni is my willpower. It is able to make me move. Agni is a prana which is making my Agni to move. Agni is the supreme being which is making the prana to move the Agni and in turn me. So the Agni at the every level, when you say Agni Mile Purohitam, then it is Agni to start with is a symbol, as a ritual, I offer it. And Agni then becomes the prana and then it lifts me up. Agni as the supreme being itself. The mantra is the same, the scripture is the same, the text is the same, the chanting is the same, but the consciousness of the Agni Tattva is going higher and higher to reach the supreme being itself. That is the beauty of it. And then Agni becomes beautiful. Agni becomes a bridge. Agni can also become barrier if you don't cross, or Agni will burn me, my ego, then make it ash, then make me the most purest form in the creation. This is what we call it as the symbolism in the Veda. Thank you.